In 2003, Metallica would release their much maligned album Saint Anger. The band had gone through a pretty tumultuous time during the recording of the album, with frontman James Hetfield leaving the group to attend rehab to deal with substance abuse issues. A lot of this turmoil would be captured on the group's 2004 documentary Some Kind of Monster. It was during the same year that the band was out on tour in Europe during the summer, playing their own shows and headlining a variety of festivals across the continent. At one gig in the UK, drummer Lars Ulrich was a no-show, leaving the band in a difficult position. Do they cancel the gig or get someone to fill in? That's what we're going to discuss in today's video. On June 6, 2004, Metallica was set to headline the Download Festival, the UK's biggest metal music festival. The band had previously played Lisbon, Portugal, and were on their way to the UK when MTV News would report that the band's drummer, Lars Ulrich, was feeling under the weather. They wouldn't disclose the cause or the symptoms he was experiencing at the time. Ulrich would take a detour to Germany to receive medical attention while his bandmates headed to their gig in the UK. This wasn't the first time Metallica dealt with illnesses or injuries that jeopardized their live shows. 4 years prior, in 2000, frontman James Hetfield would suffer a slipped disc, and the band had a revolving lineup of singers including Kid Rock and Korn's Jonathan Davis. 8 years prior to that, Hetfield would suffer serious burns to his arms during the group's co-headlining tour with Guns N' Roses, resulting in John Marshall of Metal Church playing rhythm guitar for a handful of gigs, while Hetfield was limited to vocal duties. The Download Festival's organizer Andy Copping would recall Metallica's infamous gig in 2004, writing on Instagram, "Download 2004, the year where there was a no-show for Metallica's Lars Ulrich. I remember receiving a call telling me to go backstage where I was given the news. There was two choices. A, do Metallica cancel, or B, do Metallica convince other drummers on site to fill in? I suggested they cancel because I couldn't see option B happening, particularly as quite a few drummers that were asked said no." Louder Sound would publish a piece by writer Alexander Milas, who was in attendance at the festival that year, and recalled what happened once word spread that Lars Ulrich would be a no-show, and how rumors were spreading amongst those in attendance of what had happened, writing, "I heard Lars Ulrich jumped out of a helicopter as it was landing and disappeared into the crowd. One allegedly in the No Label executive tells me with all the severity of a news anchor." Other theories circulating the sardine-packed backstage bar range from death to even worse, Lars' departure from the band, he'd write. Metallica weren't going to let their fans down, and to salvage the show, the band would spend several hours rehearsing with several drummers from bands who were opening that night for them, including Slayer and Slipknot. Even Lars' own drum tech would help fill in for the night. The idea for that gig was that several drummers would help Metallica make it through their live show. The band would end up showing an hour late to their gig, with frontman James Hetfield informing the crowd of what had happened. Slayer's drummer Dave Lombardo would end up performing the songs Battery and The Four Horsemen, while Slipknot's Joey Jordison would perform a majority of the songs that night, including playing Creeping Death, Seek and Destroy, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and the last 5 songs of the set. Jordison would be wearing his Slipknot mask during the band's entire performance, and would play 8 of the 11 songs that were part of the setlist that night. Lars Ulrich's drum tech Fleming Larson would sit in with the band, performing Fade to Black. Jordison would be hailed as the hero of the day, no pun intended, and lucky for him, he had spent time playing in a Metallica covers band prior to joining Slipknot. Slipknot frontman Corey Taylor would reflect back on the performance, telling Knotfest.com's Ryan J. Downey, "We were back there watching it. It was so surreal to watch Joey playing with Metallica because we all grew up listening to them. And Joey was shitting bricks. I mean, he had his mask on, but every time he'd come back, he would pull his mask off. He'd be like, 'How am I doing? How am I doing?' And I'm like, 'You're effing killing it.' Me, Paul Gray, Clown, we were all standing there cheering him on. And they ended up throwing a lot of different songs at him that they hadn't rehearsed. They threw all the Misfits shit at him, and he effing knew it. They would have probably kept him up there all night if they could have. He played the majority of the set, he'd remember. Following the performance, Jordison would issue a statement to the press stating, "It was an honor last night to play for a band I've looked up to for so long. Before this, I could not imagine getting into the seat of one of my heroes. It was one of the best experiences of my life." So you're maybe wondering, what happened to Lars? Well, he would reveal a year after the gig, when talking to Metal Hammer, what exactly happened in his personal life, saying, "We'd had a heavy touring schedule in Japan, Europe, America, and Australia. In the midst of all that, there were things that had come unraveled in my personal life, my family, my marriage and stuff. I'd had a lot of late nights and early mornings, so I woke up in Copenhagen on the Sunday morning, had brunch with 14 in-laws and cousins, then I got on the plane. It was pretty scary to be in a little metal tube at 41,000 feet. I've never had anxiety attacks or any kind of stress attacks ever, so we landed in Hamburg and went to the hospital. They took some blood tests and everything was normal physically. It was just everything caught up with me mentally. It was the first ever Metallica gig I'd ever missed. You want to try laying in a hospital in Germany while Dave Lombardo, the greatest drummer on the planet, is playing with your band, he'd ask? That's not easy. Joey Jordison too. I have a bit of an odd relationship with it. I still haven't looked at the press or the pictures, he'd say. Louder Sound would report that Slayer's Tom Araya would also be quoted as stating at the time, "We were like, oh well, we lost another drummer. Dave has a tendency to play fast, period, but Metallica played faster. They sounded a lot more like what Metallica should sound like," he'd say. Jordison would end up leaving Slipknot in 2013 due to health issues, but he would reveal in 2016 he was actually fired from the band. It was a bitter split that left Jordison fuming, revealing in 2016 at the Metal Hammer Golden Gods Awards, "I got really sick with a horrible disease called transverse myelitis. I lost my legs. I couldn't play anymore. It was a form of MS, which I couldn't wish on my worst enemy. I got myself back up and I got myself in the gym and I got myself back in therapy to beat this," he'd say. Jordison would claim that his bandmates mistook his health issues for substance abuse and that he was unfairly fired from the band. Sadly, in July of last year, Jordison would pass away in his sleep at the age of 46. Following his death, tributes would pour in, including Metallica frontman James Hetfield, who posted a photo of the drummer performing with the band at the Download Festival in 2004 with a caption that read, "Rest in peace, brother." That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button and subscribe. We'll see you again in Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.